All right. Okay, so first of all, thank you, Justin, for having me out. I appreciate it, man. I'm not nearly as big of a deal as he makes it seem like I am. So.
Yes, you are.
All right, so real quick question. How many people here like being told what to do by politicians? Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm in the wrong crowd then. Okay, how many people like going to work and being told what to do by their bosses? No.
She's just saying that. That's
Oh. Okay, fair enough. Probably only one of us. All right, so how many people have thought about starting their own business? How many people own businesses currently? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How easy is owning a business? Okay, so I'm going to start with a story, and I actually had like a whole lesson that I was going to go through, and then Justin told me I had 15 minutes, so I'm going to cut 99% of it. But here's the deal. I started my first business when I was 15. It was selling drugs. Made a lot of money. Absolutely. I took that money and I started a record label, and I lost a lot of money. And then I started a t-shirt company, and I lost a lot of money. And then I started a software as a service company, and I lost a lot of money. And it wasn't until like last 2 years ago that about 3 years ago now, we started our fourth business and made a lot of money. And I just recently started a fifth business, and it's making a lot of money. So I've made a lot of mistakes going through different businesses, very costly mistakes. It wasn't until I realized that like marketing was the most important part of any business that I actually started making some decent money.
Is there room for more than one?
And I drank some beer, and I don't usually drink, but it's Liberty on the Rocks, so I couldn't not. And then somebody here also took me out into the parking lot and got me stoned, so I'm really But anyways, what I wanted to talk about though is marketing and how marketing is being used against you on a societal level, which is totally off the cuff right now. I don't have any notes for this because this was not what I was going to talk about. But so this is what I am. I'm a copywriter, and I'm gonna. What's up? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have a seat real quick. I'm a copywriter. Does anybody know what a copywriter is?
You write copy.
You proofread?
No.
I don't know.
I write sales messages, and so basically I'm a salesman in print. People pay me a lot of money to write web pages for them, write Facebook ads for them, write email sequences, and then get some feedback. Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Give me
So
some output.
a couple of things that I just want to talk about 2 or 3 things in marketing that will get you a lot of money in sales. But once you realize how this works, you're going to realize that it's being used against you all over in society. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is a very simple copywriting formula. It's called problem, agitate, solution. It's just basically when you're trying to sell something, first you bring up the problem that your target audience is dealing with, and then you agitate that problem, and then you present a solution to them. The reason that you do this is because as human beings, we're typically not motivated to take action on something, even if we know we've got like, we're driving down the street and we hear like a funny sound in our engine, and we'll let that go. Most of us will let it go and let it go. We'll put it in the back of our mind until something really horrible happens. Then we're like, oh shit, I'm broke down on the side of the road in between Fort Collins and Denver, and I don't have AAA. This fucking sucks. Sorry if I cuss, but that's what I do. So in sales, when you're trying to get somebody to deal with a problem, you bring it up, and then what you have to do is agitate it. You have to let them know, hey, there's a monster in the room. And they're like, yeah, I see it. It's kind of blurry. It's over there. I'm playing Xbox right now, though. You have to. They know that there's a problem, but you have to agitate it. You have to be like, no, look, it's got pointy nails. It's got sharp teeth. It's got blood all over it, and it's walking this way. You have to really agitate that solution. You have to let them know how bad it could possibly get, or that problem, how bad it can possibly get. And then you present a solution to them, and they'll take pretty much any solution that you give them. If you agitate the problem well enough, you say, hey, buy this. They're like, how much does it cost? They'll slap down whatever money it costs. Well, in society, we see that right now. It's with gun control. We see, here's a problem. We've got a solution that we want to sell people on, but we have to agitate the shit out of this solution because they're not going to buy it unless we make it in their minds so horrible that they can no longer ignore this problem and ignore the proposed solution that we want to give. So when you're watching news and they're beaten, like mainstream media, probably everybody here knows this. Mainstream media is just basically the marketing department of big government. And that's what their job is to do. Their job is any problem that they can propose the solution is more government control over your life. They're going to take every instance that they can of that problem and they're going to agitate it. They're going to shove it in your face 24/7. So if the solution is we want more taxes, they'll find a problem that they can say the solution to this is more taxes, and they'll just shove it down your face. If the solution that they want is less people being able to defend themselves, they're going to find a problem that they can use that and agitate that over and over and over again until they can sell you that solution. So it works in sales. If you've got something that you want to sell to people, make sure that you're letting them know, hey, this is how bad it could possibly get if you don't buy this, and then they're much more likely to buy it. But when somebody's explaining a problem to you and showing you over and over again on the news how bad the problem is, it's probably because they've got a predisposed solution that they want to roll out, but they have to make sure that you feel the problem bad enough before they're actually willing to put it out. So that's one thing, problem, agitate, solution. Another really great copywriting technique is to, first you have to get people on your own side. You have to tell them, you have to make them feel, when you're trying to get somebody to buy your product, they have to feel like a connection with you. They have to feel like you're on their side. They have to feel like you know their problem and you know their worldview and you know their point of view as well as, or if not better than they do. And they have to feel like they connect with you on that. And then you have to pick a common enemy. So if you're selling to, say, the weight loss industry, you're going to be like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks being embarrassed to take your kids to the pool. It sucks being embarrassed because you have to buy 2 seats on a plane. It sucks. We understand you. And then they have to pick a common enemy. They have to say, but it's not your fault. It's the goddamn fucking corn subsidies. They put that shit in everything and it's so bad, it's filler. Did you know that corn is used to make animals fat before slaughter? And that's what's in all of your food. So you pick an enemy and you say it's them. We're gonna throw stones at them. It's the fucking sugar companies, man. I don't know if you know about the sugar companies, but man, there's some deep stuff. All right, so that's what you got to do. In your copy, when you're selling a product, you get people on your side by identifying with them, by pointing out the problems, by letting them know you feel the way that they feel. And then you have to pick an enemy. You say, because people just naturally, the way we are, we don't like dealing with our own problems. If we know that we're to blame for something, we look for someone else to blame. We avoid things that are going to force us to confront the more faulty parts of our nature. We just don't like doing it. So if there's a problem, it's just natural human instinct to look for somebody else to blame so that you don't have to work on improving yourself. Well, if you're selling something that's going to improve people's lives or have them improve themselves, in order to get them to that point, you have to pick an enemy and you have to say those guys are the bad guys. Well, they do that in news all the time too. If you watch left-wing media, left-wing people are so virtuous. We're saints on earth. We're the ones that are going to save the children and save the rainforest. And those fucking Republicans, man, they're trying to kill everything. They don't care about your kids. They're destroying the planet, blah, 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 blah. They're so evil. And then on the same thing on the other side. Republicans do the same thing. Those stupid liberals, they're fucking up the bathrooms. You know what I'm talking about, right? So they do the same thing. And that's how you get people addicted to you, is you tell them, and this is, con artists know this, people that are just really influential know this. When you meet people, relate with them, tell them, hey, I'm totally with you, I get you. And yeah, those guys over there, those guys fucking suck. Look how stupid they are. And then once you've got somebody, once you meet them, it's neuro-linguistic programming. I don't know how many people know about that. But you get people, you meet them where they're at, you agree with them on the things that they have out there, you agree with them on their values, then you agree with them on their villains, and then you can direct them. Okay, hey, by the way, yeah, I get that you don't like buying 2 plane tickets, and yeah, I get that the evil corn companies are the reason that you're so fat, but I do have a way that you can easily get rid of that, and it's just this simple paleo diet, or what, simple methamphetamine, meet me out in the parking lot. I didn't say that. So you tell people I agree with you, you tell people we've got the same values, we've got the same victims or villains, and then you tell them this is how we solve this problem. And this is how mainstream media works. They do it with the left, they do it with the right, and then they're obviously on both ends. The solution is always big giant government walls, big giant police state, or big giant tax programs. But it's the same thing. I mean, I'm talking like, I feel like I'm belaboring the point, but mainstream media is the marketing department of big government. And then the last thing, and I just made a real quick note because I didn't want to forget about this. People buy on emotions. Like, we feel like we're logical, especially in this room. We probably all think that we're way more logical than the sheeple on the other side of that wall over there. But we buy on emotions too. People are so easy to manipulate when you get them emotionally thinking. And on packaging, in marketing, and when you go to the store, go look at the toys. The toys all have an emotional appeal up front. They've got kids playing and having fun on the front, and then they back it up with logic on the back of the package. You go to the exercise, it's really skinny, hot, fit people on the exercise equipment on the front of the package, and then there's all the logical reasons why you should buy it on the back of the package. People make their buying decisions based off of emotions, and then they look for logical reasons to back up those emotions. And that's why the media is always emotions first. They drive home emotions. Once they get invested, they've got you invested with emotional appeals, then they start laying out some logical stuff. And if you lay out the logic second, it doesn't take as much logic because they've already bought in emotional. Now they just need a couple of points of logical backing up to justify the decision that they've already made. So that's why the media does that. They hit you with the emotional appeal, then they hit you with a couple of logical points to help back it up. And then you see people that watch the different points of view from the news, and they get together and they have the same like 3 logical talking points. And that's because there are only 3, and they require you to be stuck in your worldview to not realize that they're really faulty. But because you're so emotionally invested in it, those 3 will work. So those are my 3 lessons that from marketing, you can make a lot of money, but you can also manipulate entire masses of the population and have people just walking like lemmings to their own deaths off the edge of a cliff. But I hope that everybody here is responsible enough to take that information and not... Oh, we have somebody running for governor in here, don't we? Did he leave already? Is he still here? Okay, so that's my little rant. I hope it was not too boring.
No,
Thank you. You've all had entrepreneurial questions your whole life. Now your chance to ask them. Danielle.
What are your pro tips for avoiding buying on emotion and avoiding being influenced by
The consumer aspect.
What are my pro tips on not buying on emotion?
Do it.
See, this is the problem. Yeah, the problem is I'm a marketer, so it's hard for me to think that way because I'm like, how do I get people to buy based off of emotion? If you don't want to buy on emotion, probably, I don't know. Comparison shop. I mean, one of the things that consumers have in their advantage now is they can go on the internet and they can compare 50 different things. think about it. Don't buy right away. Usually spontaneous buying is the most emotional, so think about it, and I mean, that's probably the best advice I can give.
I read reviews, okay.
So, like, there's these marketing campaigns, but they seem like they only last for a while. What are some of the reasons why they stop working?
People have ad fatigue. Like, if you hear the same ad over and over again, if an ad works, you run it until it stops working. And this is another secret that I probably shouldn't be telling people, but typically like 1 out of 10 ads or 1 out of 20 ads works really well, and businesses will pay for like 15, 20 ads before they find the one that works. And when they find one that works, they just run it until it stops working. But we get fatigued, just like banner ads used to grab people's attention, now but nobody pays attention to them. YouTube ads used to grab people's attention. Facebook ads used to grab people's attention. We get used to seeing them. There's something called ad blindness, where we just subconsciously pick something that's not important to us and we block it out. Our brains are amazing on what happens on the unconscious level. Our brains are making like millions or trillions of decisions a second that we're just not even conscious of. And marketers take advantage of that, just to say. But yeah, go ahead. Oh wait, was that good enough answer? I don't even know if I did answer it.
It works like an SNL bit. You just drive it into the ground.
What's up?
Would you say that your early entrepreneurial years as a service provider were successful? Were you a very successful person at the work that you did as a young child? And how did you measure your success at that point? How did you know that you were doing something right?
Well, like I said,
You got that blue magic.
How did you know to mark up and how did you know?
oh, I made a lot of mistakes. I would say, like I said, other than selling drugs, I ran 3 businesses into the ground. So.
Well, I'm curious because I always wanted to sell drugs. I never did. Great. So seriously, your day job. Well, no, seriously, I remember thinking to myself, I should sell drugs because no one's going to think this little white girl is providing for the neighborhood.
I'm not giving legal advice here.
I'm curious, what was it like? Was it easy? Did you ever get really nervous? How did you decide on your markups?
Okay.
Where did
So,
you put your money?
drug dealing 101.
It's never too late to learn.
Well, the thing that sucks, there are two big things that suck about the drug market. Number one, they sell themselves, so I was very misinformed about how actual business works once I got into the real world. Drugs it's not hard. You don't have to market drugs. Yeah.
Try crack.
The thing that
What's for dinner?
First one's
The
free.
thing that kind of sucks about it is you have to compete off of price, and I won't do any kind of business where I'm competing off of price. I charge very high premiums for what I do now. So selling drugs is who's got the cheapest drugs, which sucks because that leads to the crappiest kinds of customers. So I wouldn't recommend it. Is basically what I'm getting at.
How did you measure your success? How did you become? Do you think you were a successful drug dealer?
Oh yeah.
So then how?
Because I had a lot of money. But I had a lot of, it's not worth it though, because you have shady people calling you at 2 o'clock in the morning. You have to worry about people who are going to rob you, because there's a lot of theft and just garbage people. And
money in a bank, right? You couldn't just go drop 5K.
no, we started a record label and just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right, we had a question back there.
Do you rap?
Do you have
Yeah, used to.
Hey, why are you assuming it's rap?
Right on.
Did you have a question?
Just because I'm covered in tattoos and wearing baggy pants.
Yeah, maybe.
I have a question.
All right.
So you said that you had a few failed businesses before your successful one now. So what are you doing now that you weren't doing before?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah, I know. I'm beating a dead horse, but so the last business that I totally ran into the ground, we made a huge mistake. We had one buyer. It was a huge buyer. It was one of the world's biggest corporations. We were working on software as a service for them. At the very end, they tried to pull some really shady stuff, and I was very much anti-IP at the time, so I didn't even think about protecting the intellectual property that we were working on for them. And they tried to screw us over, and so we pulled out at the last minute once the software was done. And we didn't think anything about how to market the software because we had one buyer already lined up. And then once they pulled out, we had like 4 years worth of work that we had back bills to pay on, and we're totally screwed because we have no marketing plan at all. And then the next one, I said, okay, the most important thing is how do I sell this? Because it doesn't matter what you want to sell if you don't focus on how am I going to sell it, then you're not going to sell it and you're going to go out of business. And so the next two businesses, marketing was the backbone, and that's why they've both been successful.
I have a question.
What?
Is it possible that you're drawing a false correlation on what made your current businesses successful? What I mean by that is it possible that the previous products weren't that good, but these new products are really good, and so it's not the marketing that's different, it's the product that's different?
No, it's marketing.
It's only, you're 100% sure.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this.
Run the regression.
This is going to piss a lot of the anarcho-capitalists off in this room right now. Nobody gives a fuck about the superior product. The superior product does not win. It's the better marketed product that wins. 100 times out of 100. Sorry. Well, okay. The customer basis for that is, yeah.
So you were talking about ad blindness before. So if you were going to put all of your money into one specific type of ad campaign, what would it be?
Email marketing.
Great question. What?
Email. I make all of. I don't care if you read them or not. Email marketing works. It's where I make all of my money from. Not all of between Facebook and email, but Facebook is interrupting people when they're trying to have enjoyment, and email is people who have given you permission to tell them about stuff. So it's a lot easier to sell through email.
But how do you get your email not to go to spam?
There's a lot of different things that you have to do.
Use MailChimp.
Yeah.
Use a professional service. I want to get to you.
That's kind of what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
Third party or?
I use GetResponse. GetResponse is really good. They have like 99% delivery. And you have to know how to write emails that people actually want to read. Like, I have pretty high, somebody said I don't open my emails. I don't know who that was, but I have like, my click-through rate is,
Or your open rate, I should say.
my open rate is like between 40 and 70%.
Wow. That's crazy.
I write really good emails.
You're writing
Subject lines?
dick pics inside.
Free boobs.
What's that?
You're writing your copy for your subject
Oh,
line.
I'm a copywriter, so
Right.
what I do,
You're
yeah.
So your subject lines are fire.
Yeah.
So my subject lines are very controversial most of the
What's the
time.
product you're working on now?
What are you selling?
Yeah.
I have not drugs.
Damn it. Drugs inside.
I have a podcast hosting company, and then I do sales and marketing. So I have two businesses, and most of my money comes from email. And my email list, I only have like, one email list is like 300 people, and then one email list is like 700 people. So I have less than 1,000 people on my two lists, and still make some pretty decent money off of it. So
I have a question for you.
What's up?
So you mentioned from a business perspective, marketing was like what kind of helped you turn the corner there. From a personal perspective, what you learned from all those failures? I worded that a little harshly, but you know.
No. I'm proud of my failures, man.
Yeah. So on a personal level, what you learned, not business, not about marketing, like what you learned about yourself.
That's a good question.
I think a couple different things. Number one, everybody fails. Like, I don't know anybody the only people that I know that haven't failed miserably are people that just haven't tried. So,
Michael Jordan, I like that.
so that's that. And if you are willing to try, people will flock to you to support you. You'll get a lot of haters too, but most people in general are like terrified to make decisions for themselves. Most people in general are terrified to take risks. And when you do, a lot of people just find that like super attractive, and they just like are magnetically drawn to you and want to support you.
They're just all over the place.
Well, and not no homo, but guys too. Like. Don't judge me.
Cool. Anyone else? Questions? Go ahead. Tom?
Give a good subject line that
Yes.
Yeah, what do you say? Is it free to
Controversial, yeah.
No. So most of. Do you want just like a real quick breakdown on how to write good subject lines? Okay. So the number people always say that the like most appealing thing is like appealing to like people's personal desires. I find that curiosity works better. So more often than not, when I get like the emails that hit like 70% are usually like curiosity driven. So they're like stay away from BSOs. People are like, well, what's a BSO? Click it in there.
That's dirty.
Yeah, it's bright shiny objects. Entrepreneurs are always like, oh, I'm going to chase this opportunity. I'm going to chase this opportunity. So we call those bright shiny objects. And I wrote an email that was the subject line, stay away from BSOs, and it was like a 73% open rate on it. Subject lines like, you're never going to believe what she did. Subject lines like, your favorite guru is wrong about this. Just subject lines that make people be like, well, what's on the other side? And then you have to obviously follow through, otherwise they're not going to open your next email. But curiosity is usually like the biggest thing that people just, you open that loop and they're going to feel uncomfortable until they close it, so they're going to want to open it up.
That's interesting.
People are easy to manipulate is this conversation.
Anyone else before we sign off? No?
Can I do the 30-second thing?
Oh, yeah. We gotta mark it.
So my podcast is all about business and politics. I know you're not supposed to mix those two things, but my podcast is awesome. I just actually released an episode with Tom Woods. Does anybody know who Tom Woods is? So he was just on the podcast. We released it yesterday. I interview libertarian people. I also interview a lot of marketing people. A lot of marketing people are very hip to libertarianism. Like pretty much 70-80% of the marketing world is very free market capitalist, very libertarian leaning. So I interview a lot of guys just about society, politics, marketing, all of that. It's called Nathan Fraser's Show, and you can find that at nathanfrasershow.com.
All right, give it up for Nathan.